I spoke with Siemon Wezeman, senior researcher at SIPRI Arms Transfer Programme, and I asked him which countries are most likely to ramp up arms purchases from the U.S.
Well, U.S. arms sales, the big markets, so to say, are Asia and the Middle East. That's where the growth is, and that's where the controversy is. Those are regions where there's a lot of tension, where there are quite a lot of buyers, countries, governments that are not the most democratic. So that gives internal U.S. discussions if you can sell certain types of weapons or not. The Arab countries, of course, the Arab Spring is one issue there, weapons being used for internal repression. But you see similar issues in some of the Asian countries where democracy is maybe not always the strongest. And of course in Asia also a lot of tension, and fueling such tension with arms sales is not always the best solution.
Let's name some countries out here. The White House has gone very much on the record about this Asia pivot, essentially making sure that the U.S. has not only sort of diplomatic power, but also military power overseas, specifically in Asia. The president is on his trip out there. He's meeting with various countries, Japan, Korea, Malaysia, and the Philippines, all of which are allies to the U.S. and have bought some form of equipment. Which countries, in your opinion, are likely to be on a higher growth spurt on growth equipment purchases?
Well, in absolute terms, of course, the big countries, the rich countries, Japan, South Korea, Australia. If you look a bit further in Asia, India is one. A country like Singapore, quite a well-off country, looking for equipment. When you look in more relative terms, so in percentages, which one is growing fast or will grow fast, and you look at countries like Vietnam, the Philippines, where there are certain strong ideas about improving the very weak defense forces. Indonesia is another one.
Siemon, help our audience understand what's the most popular type of equipment for these countries to acquire?
For most of them, especially the bigger countries, it's the advanced equipment, so the combat aircraft, the Joint Strike Fighter, submarines, air defense systems, long-range missiles launched from aircraft, large warships, to some extent land systems, but they're not the main focus. But advanced systems, and very often also for those bigger countries, weapons that have a longer reach than what they have before, plus the supporting equipment with that, airborne early warning aircraft, tanker aircraft that give the reach to those combat aircraft, the missiles that give those combat aircraft even more reach.
China is watching this development very closely for obvious reasons. Your thoughts on what the reaction might be from China, or if there's anything they can or want to do about this Asia pivot?
Well, it's often arms acquisitions are an action-reaction pattern. One country does something, the other country feels it. There is a threat perception, it reacts to it. It's quite possible that such reactions go over the top, that the reactions become worst-case scenario reactions because you don't really understand or know what the potential adversary is doing. And you have chances that these things get out of hand and turn into arms races. Wasteful spending, but also putting an enormous amount of equipment around in the territories that are claimed by several contestants, for example, where you have the more weapons basically around, the more chance there is that armed forces meet each other under conditions where they don't really know how to behave when they meet each other, and that things get by accident out of hand that way.
That was Siemon Wezeman, senior researcher for the SIPRI Arms Transfer Programme, joining us from Stockholm.